Betrayals are a finicky thing. They're tricky in Rise of Kingdoms. And when you put so much time, energy, and effort into having a good KVK, a betrayal can absolutely wreck all of it. So this video is going to talk about it. It's going to talk about betrayals. It's going to give you some cautionary tales. And I'm going to give you the best tool in the game to get the word out about any betrayals that you are a part of, that you see, or that you are the victim of. Hello, everybody. Welcome back in. I'm your boy, War Daddy Chatsky. I put out videos all the time. I stream all the time. I streamed twice yesterday, and I love giving as much good information as I can about this game, the game that we all love so much, and what it means to play this game, because this is a game that takes a lot of time, energy, and effort, and I am looking at a K2 right now. Okay, nothing is going wrong in this K2, but I bring up a KVK2 situation because this is the most common KVK you will find betrayals. Okay, what is a betrayal? Let's talk about that first and foremost, okay? Well, in KVK2, this is an 8-camp KVK. It's really, really interesting how this thing is laid out. But you have one kingdom here. It's one kingdom per camp. One kingdom here, here. So you kind of do a 4v4 in KVK2. Just like any other KVK, whether it's a 3v3 or a 2v2 or a 4v4, just depending on the KVK structure. But what happens a lot of the times is that in a 4v4 situation, let's say you've got a kingdom that is not getting the rewards that were promised towards the end of KVK, and they flip sides to the other side because the other side has lost the KVK, and this is all before King's Land ends, and they go to the other side and say, hey, we're going to flip to you guys to get the rewards you want. That's generally the type of betrayals that you'll see. The number one rule and reason why you see betrayals in the game is because people do not communicate clearly what the reward system is structured on, okay? And when they do that and you just leave it open-ended and say, hey, we'll just decide rewards later, that's when there's problems with betrayals. So when you're doing Diplo and you're trying to figure out exactly what each side is getting, hey, now that we've set up our allies, it's a heroic anthem, it's a 2v2. We have already worked it out with our camp that we're going to go off DKP. That's deaths and kill points, okay? So, or you go off of who's got the harder fights or who does different things in KVK, or if you're in a 2v2 and you're up here in fire camp and you got your ally down here in, let's say, wind camp, and the fire camp is much stronger than the wing camp, then it's already a preconceived notion that fire camp will be the reason why they win the KVK. So they'll take the final zig and they'll take max rewards, but you want to kind of figure that stuff out early, because if you leave it open-ended, and people have a funny memory in this game, if you leave it open-ended and wait till the end of KVK, then you're going to be in a world of hurt, because now all of a sudden the winning side, whether it's a 2-camp side, a 3-camp side, or a 4-camp side, is all going to start bickering and arguing. Now, for the most part, everybody's pretty reasonable and everybody understands, especially experienced kingdoms. They understand. However, there are those situations to where Diplo goes wrong. One camp doesn't think the other camp really does much in the game, and there's all kinds of issues here. So when you enter a KVK, you are going to want to set up your Diplo, and you want to talk about those rewards ahead of time, okay? And I know some people say, we'll figure it out till later. Don't do that. You figure it out right off the bat. Are we going on DKP? Basically, if my camp does more deaths and kill points than your camp, we get the top rewards, we get the zig, we get the autarchs. You know, that's what you have to figure out. What happens in this game is really, really finicky, and so with that being said, when you get into these KVKs, and there's a ton of them going on right now, and there's a betrayal in a KVK, no lie, literally like every other week. It happens all the freaking time. Like, we can come in here into Orleans KVK. This is kind of a bigger one set up, and I'm not saying anybody in this KVK is betraying, but what you have to understand is that when you go into KVKs and you're trying to figure all this stuff out, you have to understand what kingdoms you're getting involved with and what the reward system needs to be at the end of the KVK. When you come into a KVK, you get rewards. Everybody knows that. If you occupy circles, if you occupy the Zig, okay? If you occupy sanctuaries, if you occupy different things, each camp gets different sets of rewards. So you want to communicate that ahead of time. Okay, so let's talk about the betrayals, and let's talk about these kingdoms that will flip sometimes. Let me be the first one to say this. First and foremost, if you are a kingdom that betrays without really any good reason, you are going to kill your kingdom. It's straight up, plain and simple. If you are known in this game, this is what young players have to understand. If you are known in this game as being a kingdom that betrays, okay, your kingdom's going to die. You're not going to keep players there. People do not like that in this game. If you're a young kingdom fighting KVK 2, you want to kill your kingdom, you go betray. Okay, KVK 2 is like what we call the drunk KVK, because there's stuff going on everywhere. And you have new people to the game. They don't take the game very seriously, and they are much more willing to betray and switch sides. I was in a KVK once where I was in a K2, and I kid you not. Let me go into this K2 real quick so you guys will understand. Kind of have 36, 54, is that right? Yeah, I think so. Okay, this is a K2 setup right here, and I was in a KVK2, in my very first KVK2, and we were up here in this camp in Clarencia, okay? Well, we were allied over here with this camp, and this kingdom over here, and in the middle of our shared zone here, they betrayed us, okay? And they decided to switch sides. Well, we were fighting over here against, I remember 2082. 2082 was a Korean kingdom. I got to know their king really well, even though we fought against each other, mad respect for them. Well, they betrayed and went to their side, okay? The king over here really had nothing to do with it, but they betrayed us. So what happened was we were locked in zone 4 like all KVK. We tried to push out, couldn't, got locked in zone 4. And when it got towards the end of KVK, what this kingdom, I want to say it was 2078? I can't remember. It was an Italian kingdom. I do remember that. And nothing against Italian players. But this kingdom right here actually betrayed us. And then they got into Kingsland. And what do you know? There was a dispute. And then they decided to betray 2082, who was their ally and our enemy. And so you got into Kingsland. Well, I had conjured up this relationship with this king over here in 2082. And he said, Chatsky, hey, we're going to let you through this zone 6 right here, and we're going to let you, this zone 7 right here, we're going to let you into Kingsland where you help us take back the Zig because this kingdom over here has now betrayed us. And I was like, absolutely. So they let us through here. We got into Kingsland. We ended up winning the KVK with 2082. And so that's how crazy KVK2 can be. But guess what? This kingdom over here that betrayed, they completely fell apart. Every kingdom I have seen that does an egregious betrayal completely falls apart. And that's what people have to understand. If you're serious about the game and you want to build a good kingdom, never, ever, ever betray. If you have to switch sides for whatever reason, you better have your freaking ducks in a row. You better catch your allies lying and stealing and cheating. You better have all the other things lined up to be able to submit to the community, because the community is going to judge you if you betray and if you switch sides. But if you present it and say, hey, here's what's happened, this is why we switch sides, we're actually being screwed out of this stuff over here with our campmates or our allies in other camps, you better have your ducks in a row. It is a tricky, tricky subject, but just understand, when it comes to betrayals, you are guilty until proven innocent. That's the way it is. That's the way the public perceives it, okay? So it's very, very finicky. I have seen kings lose KVKs with many avenues to go win a KVK if they just switch sides. And kings will do the right thing and not switch sides. They don't betray the KVK. They don't betray the enemies. They don't betray their allies. They stick to the KVK even if they lose. And guess what? Their kingdom becomes stronger for it, or their kingdom is known as a kingdom that will not betray. And that's where people want to play. They don't want to play for shady people. They don't want to play for shady leadership. So if you're going to betray, your kingdom's going to die, and you're going to be known as a betrayer. Okay, and so the other part to this is that there's two sides to every story, and this is where the King's Codex comes into play. Now, you guys have seen me talk about King's Codex many times. That's Ruz and Dom and all these guys have really done a good job putting together this great Discord that they have. A lot of resources, a lot of information. Okay, I'm going to show it to you up here. This is King's Codex, okay? The best part about King's Codex that I love, or I should say my most favorite part, as you see, they have all kinds of different things to do. They've got your discussions. They've got your kingdom tracking. They got your place where kings can go share information about when they're going into pops to do your Diplo and make sure you can communicate. But then they have this section right here. It's called a betrayal case, okay? This is very interesting for people to understand and know. Okay, if you ever get yourself in a situation to where you have been betrayed in a KVK, this is the place to go in a community Discord to where you can submit your cases in a KVK. So what happens here is that you have leaders. There's a panel that they have of 11 people in this Discord, okay? They're pretty well respected. Not everybody likes everybody who's on this 11-person panel, but what they do is they objectively look at a situation where there is a submission of betrayal. Okay, that's when people come to it and say, "Hey, this is what's happened in our kingdom. This is what's happened in our KVK. We want to submit a betrayal." Okay, this is kind of a run through of exactly how the review process works. They review it. All right, you want to submit a report through a ticket, and they will provide, and then what you need to do is provide all that evidence. You provide the hard proof, ideally screenshots, videos, Diplo, all that stuff, where all the things where Diplo has broken down, where your allies have betrayed you and something has happened. You give them all the evidence, okay? And then the camp or any kind of deliberate action that happens, this team of 11 will go discuss. And they will come back with a verdict on your KVK. Now, what they will do is they will contact the other side and say, here's what's being said about you. We're about to put this out as a red flag betrayal on your kingdom or your allies or your camps or whatever. Would you like to respond? And they give an arbiter, if you will. They are an arbiter. They basically give a chance for the other side to state their case. No, actually, that's not true. This is what happened over here. Here's the evidence we have for that. And then they try to do the best they can by giving an unbiased opinion on what happened. So you can see in here where people have gone through and literally put a submission in for a betrayal. That team in King's Codex will analyze it. They actually have a vote on which way, after gathering all the information of what happened. And sometimes they'll say, hey, this is both sides' fault. Sometimes they'll say this is one kingdom's fault, or they'll say this is another kingdom or camp's fault. So it's really, really cool how they do it. They don't handle DKP issues, okay? They're not mediators. They are there just to solidify and justify betrayals, or to justify the calling out of a betrayal. Okay, and so there's a 1 week time frame if there's ever an appeals process that's being put in place. But this is where you go. This is where you go to King's Codex. You go to the betrayal cases. You read about how you can submit a betrayal in your KVK, because here's the reason why this is important for everybody. And I'll just say it straight up. I want to know what kingdoms are betraying. I want a reference point in King's Codex to where I can say, okay, if my kingdom is going as a campmate with another kingdom, or we're planning on allying another camp with a bunch of other kingdoms in it in KVK, I want to know if any of the kingdoms I'm going to ally have been accused of betrayal. I want to know that. Okay, and that's why this is a great reference and a great source to go look at. So this is it when it comes to being able to have as a reference to see if any kingdoms you're possibly allying with have been accused of betrayal and what the verdict is of that betrayal accusation. And so this is a great place to go. You can join King's Codex. You can see this here, and I guarantee you somebody in the next week or two is going to put a case in here and say, hey, we're in KVK 3. This is what happened. It's light versus darkness. We're at odds with our allied camp in here, or allied kingdom, because they did X, Y, and Z. And here's what happened. Diplo broke down. They lied to us. They are not sticking to the terms of the agreement on rewards, or they're not sticking to the territory agreements, or whatever it might be. This is where you go. And so it's very important for everybody to understand that this is a place everybody can go to see what kind of betrayals might have happened in the past. That way, boom, I take any kingdom XYZ, it can be any number, I say we're getting ready to ally with those guys. Haven't we heard, didn't those guys like do a betrayal or something? Didn't something happen a couple of KVKs ago and you want to find that information? Well, now you got a place you can go find the information and see if they've ever been red flagged for betrayal. Okay, and this is a great place to go and do that. So with that being said, this is more of a cautionary tale. This is more of a hey, look out when you're going into KVKs. And it's also a video that shows you that you're not alone. If it happens to you and you're betrayed, now you have public forums and now you have places to go to tell your story, to where you have people who will listen to your story, who will get the facts from your side and the other side, and they will essentially make a ruling for all the community to see. So number one, it prohibits other kingdoms from doing a betrayal because they know they're going to get caught if they do something wrong, and they're going to be seen for everybody to look at, and they're going to be exposed, and at that point they're probably going to die as a kingdom. Okay, but then number two, it also gives a kingdom who is being accused a chance to say, nope, that's not how it went down. This is how it went down. And so everybody just needs to understand that, because right now it's the Wild West. You can put in any public chat, you can accuse any kingdom of betraying in any public chat, and in betrayals, you're guilty until proven innocent. So now we actually have a place with King's Codex to where you can go in and actually make that case. And it's very, very cool and intricate of how it works. So I encourage you to do it because it's going to happen. I'm just telling you what's going to happen. And if a buddy of yours is in a kingdom where they get betrayed, make sure you tell them, go to King's Codex. You guys put all your evidence together, submit it, and see if you can get that kingdom red flagged as being a betraying kingdom. Okay? And so that's it. I hate betrayals. I don't like them. I understand sometimes they're necessary. I understand sometimes Diplo breaks down. I get it. But there's a difference between switching sides or betraying, and betraying is very, very bad. So with that being said, if you enjoy the community that we've got in our Discord, be sure to check the link in the description. If you guys like my videos, if you like the streams, be sure to throw a thumbs up and like the streams, like the videos, subscribe if you can to the channel, because it doesn't cost you anything. It really helps us. We're approaching 30,000 subscribers. We got a great big event we're going to do for that. So be a part of our community and everything that we do, trying to give you the most information and the best rock life application in rock. How to make you a better player, how to make you a better alliance, how to make you a better kingdom. And with that being said, we'll get out of here, and we hope you have a great day, broskies.